Hey, we're here at story time again in Central Park in our children's library. Hope you're doing great. And our story today is Joseph and his brothers. Genesis chapters 37 through 46 if you follow along at home. There was a man named Jacob who had a very large family. He had 12 sons. Jacob loved all his sons, but he loved Joseph most of all. His other sons were jealous of Joseph because of all the attention their father gave him. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a very special coat. It was decorated with many beautiful colors. Jacob said, "Look at this nice coat I got for Joseph." Joseph loved his coat of many colors. He made sure everyone got to see it. Joseph put on his coat and said, "I am very happy. Father loves me so much he gave me this wonderful coat." But this made Joseph's older brothers even more jealous. One night while Joseph was sleeping, he had a dream, and in the dream he and his brothers were gathering stalks of grain. Suddenly Joseph's grain stood up. Then the grain his brothers were gathering bowed to Joseph's grain. When Joseph told his family about his dream, his brothers glared at him. Angrily they asked, "Who do you think you are that we should bow down to you?" Soon after this happened, Joseph had another dream. This time he dreamt that the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to him. When Joseph told his brothers about this dream, they were very angry. They wondered if Joseph might try to rule over them. They did not want Joseph to tell them what to do. So when Joseph told his father about the dream, Jacob asked, "Does this dream mean that your mother and I will bow down to you too?" So one day Joseph visited his brothers as they tended the sheep in the fields, and when the brothers saw Joseph, they grabbed him and threw him in a dry well. Then they sold Joseph to some traders for 20 pieces of silver. The traders took Joseph far away to Egypt, and when Joseph did not return home that night with his brothers, their father was so sad he cried. He thought Joseph was dead. Even though Joseph had done nothing wrong, he was put into jail. But God did not forget about him. He gave him the ability to understand the meaning of dreams. Some of the king's workers were in jail too. When they had dreams, they came to Joseph, and Joseph would tell them what their dreams meant. One night the king had a dream. He had heard that Joseph could tell him what his dreams meant, so the king called for Joseph. Now Joseph stood before the king. He listened to the king about his dreams, and in one dream the king stood by the river. First, 7 fat cows came out from the river. Next, 7 thin cows came out to the water and stood by the fat cows. Then the thin cows swallowed the fat cows. In another dream, the king saw 7 ripe ears of corn growing next to 7 dried up ears of corn. The dried up ears of corn ate the ripe ears. Joseph told the king, "God is telling you about things that are going to happen. The 7 fat cows and the 7 ripe ears of corn mean that there will be 7 years when plenty of food will grow. And the 7 thin cows and 7 dried up ears of corn mean there will be 7 years of famine when nothing will grow. Egypt will have 7 years to get ready for the time when nothing will grow." So Joseph told the king to save the extra grain during the first 7 years when good crops grew. The extra grain would be stored for use during the 7 years of famine. The king said, "This is a very good plan." So the king put Joseph in charge of the palace and all the kingdom so he could make these things happen. And after the 7 growing years, the time came when no food would grow. The famine spread far and wide, and people from all over the world came to Egypt. They would have to ask Joseph if they could buy food. And one day Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy food. The brothers did not know their brother Joseph lived in Egypt. They did not know what an important person he was in the kingdom. And when Joseph's brothers arrived, they did not recognize him. Joseph pretended not to know them. Joseph thought of a way to make his brothers return to Egypt. He accused them of being spies. "We are not spies," they said. "Our father sent us to buy food." Joseph said, "Prove to me that you are telling the truth. Leave one brother in Egypt, then the rest of you can take the grain home. And when you return for more grain, you must bring your youngest brother to me." Soon the brothers had to return to Egypt to buy more food. They kept their promise and brought their youngest brother with them. And when Joseph saw everyone, He almost cried. He said, "I am Joseph, your brother. How is our father?" The brothers were afraid, but Joseph said, "Do not worry. God made these things happen so that I would be able to save Egypt." They celebrated, and Joseph's family moved to Egypt so they would all be together again. Well, I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you're reading along with your family Bible stories. Hope you have a great day. Bye.